Okay, this is all about sleep. Okay, so I am going to give you a simple explanation of why you sleep, where you're supposed to sleep, how do you sleep, when do you have to sleep, how long you need, and at the end you will understand what is sleep. Okay, then I will give you an idea about caffeine, wine or alcohol, and cigarettes' role in sleep, jet lag, naps, snoring, sleeping pills, all those stories. Okay, so let's go through one by one in simple explanation. Okay, if you ask me what is sleep, if I have to give you a 15-second answer, this is it. Your brain has a lot of cells, right? Billions of neurons. After all day of work, you accumulates a lot of waste. We will talk about all those details. Okay, a lot of things will be accumulated. It has to sweep or clean. Okay, the cleaning process is called sleep. That's it. If you are scientifically talking about sleep, that's a simple explanation. If you don't sleep, your brain will be messing with a lot of other chemicals there. Okay, we will discuss. This is called glymphatic system, not lymphatic. It starts with a G, glymphatic system. So when you sleep, if you get a good night's sleep, it's going to sweep everything out. It's like you use a bucket of water and clean your room or on a floor, dirty floor. That's how you feel after a sleep. So that's what we will discuss today. Okay, so how this is happening, then why do you feel really refreshed at the end of a good night's sleep? Then some people experience like different parasomnias, like a bruxism or teeth grinding, then sleepwalking, night terror and nightmares. Those are two different things. Then sleep paralysis also. So I don't discuss all those in details, but we will go through that. Then is it good to sleep on your back or in your sides? Those we will discuss. What if somebody not sleeping and driving? What will happen? What if you drink coffee? Why you cannot sleep that time? What if you drink alcohol? Is it similar to caffeine or what happened? There is some similarities and differences. I'm going to discuss that. And when a person if a patient taking sleeping pills to sleep, that is sleep medication, sleep aid, what is the difference between that normal sleep and that sleep? There is difference. Like some people take suvorexant, rameltone, trizolam, zolpidem, Z drugs or benzo drugs. Nobody takes benzo drug nowadays, but if you are taking for a long time and you are older, and sometimes it's so hard to, because of these withdrawal symptoms, your physicians will try to keep you in that drug. Other than that, nobody going to prescribe benzos nowadays. You have Z drugs is a good one, but best one is suvorexant. But anyway, we will talk about that if we get time at the end. Okay, so how your brain know when to sleep? So I'm going to mention that. And how do your brain know when to wake up? Okay, so those are the things we will discuss. Also the brain, so basic thing you need to understand is your brain has billions of cells, mainly called neuron. It is not a rocket science to understand, very simple. They secrete a lot of different types of chemicals called neurotransmitters. Can you see this well? Hopefully it is recording well. Okay. And these neurotransmitters, you don't have to understand that in detail. See, different types of neurotransmitters. I'm going to explain that to you very simply at the end of this section. Okay, so don't worry about this now. We will go through that. And when you fall asleep, you are not going to die, right? You wake up. Death means like it will be a straight line. No, you will have brain waves, but once it recorded, you can see that it's going to slow down. You go to deep sleep. We will talk about that story later. And your total sleep has two compartments. Actually, you heard about REM sleep and non-REM sleep. I'm going to explain that to you in simple language, what it is. Different sleep stages are there. And you have your sleep cycles, right? Total night sleep, good night sleep, and you actually sleep in cycles. So those are the things I'm going to discuss that, okay? Okay, so let's start with during this conversation, I don't want to waste my time, so I will paint my nails, okay? Hope you don't if it is bothering you, please don't watch it, just listen to this, okay? By that time, I'll be done with painting my nails and tell you all about sleep. It will be a very simple explanation, like usually when my mom asks me, I will explain this way. So this is how it is. So you will understand what it is, okay? So let's look at that story. Starting from what is sleep, right? Okay, so here we go. This is the first one. Did you see right here? Okay, I need to arrange this one. Here we go. So if you look at it, how do you know when to sleep and how your brain know okay, this is the time to sleep? It is very simple to understand. You wake up in the morning, you're working so hard, you're going to start building up a lot of, some of the chemicals. One example is you work so hard, you're going to release a lot of adenosine. Adenosine means ATP. You heard about that for energy packets, right? ATP. So once you start working a lot during all day time, you can add a lot of adenosine ATP going to break down and start accumulating a lot of adenosine. So brain will get an accumulation of adenosine. That's the reason around 3 p.m. we get a lot of adenosine. Sometimes we will feel, if we work so hard after 3 p.m. you feel a little bit asleep, right? So, but you don't fall asleep. Reason, you have sunlight, because you have a circadian rhythm in the body. So sunlight and vitamin D, all this will be stimulating you to keep you awake, okay? But later this light will goes down. That time your sleep sleep drive will increase. Once the sleep drive increase, and when it hits the darkness, that is the perfect time to fall asleep. That will be about 9 to 10 p.m. at night. That means you work so hard, you build up a lot of adenosine and all these chemicals, and everything is piling up in the brain. You are so tired, your body, all the cells have they have internal clocks. So all the cells feel the same way, and your brain also feels that way. By that time, it will be a perfect time, your brain will start secreting melatonin. You have your pineal gland, it's called third eye, right? Like that one, start secreting the melatonin. So the melatonin and all this accumulation of all these adenosine and the sleep drive, everything together, you fall asleep. Then throughout the night, you start secreting a lot of melatonin. Then you get a good night's sleep and wake up in the morning. Okay, so this is the real thing happening. Okay, so now before I start talking about stories, so look at right here. So this is the basic. You don't need a rocket science, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to learn this. Okay, in your brain, you have a teeny tiny area. It is called hypothalamus. Symbol below the thalamus, you have an area called hypothalamus. That's all you should know. Okay, so this area has a very little spot with a lot of a bundle of neurons, right? That is called VLPO, or ventrolateral preoptic nucleus. You don't need to know the name, but VLPO, that a bundle of neuron in your brain, okay, the hypothalamus. This is called your sleep switch. It is the main switch of your sleep. What it will do is, when you are so tired, you are going to produce a lot of adenosine, I told you, right? This little red area, that means I was talking about in the hypothalamus, that area has some receptors. Once you get that, signals, that means when the adenosine bind on these receptors, this neuron starts secreting GABA. It's a neurotransmitter, okay? Gamma-aminobutyric acid. So just don't worry about it. They're going to secrete a special chemical. That is what happening. That will stimulate you to fall asleep. I'll teach you like how it is happening later if you want it, okay? We will go through detail. But understand, this is it. When you work so hard all day, all the cells, your skeletal muscles, everything, all your body parts are tired because you work too hard. So it is a 24-hour cycles, right? So body has already, we evolved a system where about half of the day we work so hard and the next half of the day we rest. During that time, your brain will know when to ask you to go to bed, right? So what do? The hypothalamus is going to start secreting a chemical. By that time, this chemical do something. I'll tell you what to do, what they are doing. But this GABA will ask you to fall asleep. Okay, time to sleep. You will fall asleep. That's what's happening. Okay. So here you go. Make it more simple. When you work so hard all day, around evening, you start producing accumulating a lot of adenosine. So adenosine, it is nothing but you are using a lot of like ATPs, right? ATP. So adenosine molecule is going to phosphate. You're going to use it and the adenosine going to accumulate. What happened is very simple. Adenosine going to bind and stimulate these receptors of the VLPO so that your brain, hypothalamus, VLPO, special neurons start producing this GABA. Okay? Fair enough. So that is a basic. So then you have I was talking about your cyclic sleep, right? So in your brain actually, when this happens, when the GABA starts secreting, you have a lot of neurochemicals there in the brain. Those have some relations. I will talk about that story. So it will finally end up and make you sleep. That time, brain has different waves, okay? So here you go. This sleep cycles, like I said, it is cyclical. And this sleep has non-REM, that means non-rapid eye movement sleep. It is actually let's talk about like this with the use of this one. So REM sleep means rapid eye movement sleep, okay? So rapid and non-rapid eye movement sleep actually cyclically happening. So here you go. This is the best explanation. You are awake, then we are very tired. If you are falling asleep, it's a very quick. Falling asleep means like you cannot predict when you're gonna fall asleep, right? Even if you try to catch that time, you don't know. It's like a kind of mystery, okay? So it's very quick reaction. It's going to fall asleep. So N1, this is non-rapid eye movement sleeps. That is the most of your good night sleep, 1 night of sleep. Most of the part, about 75% is that non-rapid eye movement sleep. So what happened is you go to bed, the first, 5 minutes. Sometimes if you are tired or if you are old, it takes more, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, it depends. But if you are very tired, some nights you can fall asleep like in minutes, 1 or 2 minutes, people can do that, right? So it depends. I am going to talk about all those later. So what happened is you're going to fall asleep very quickly and then you go to the deep sleep. So here you go. N1, N2, N3. This is the real deep sleep. So here what happens is, when a person taking sleeping pills or sleep aids, usually get this part of the sleep, not this REM sleep. Okay, this part will be N2 will be more, but sometimes they get, depend on the medication, N3 also. So here we go. You are falling asleep, first stage, second stage, third stage. This is deep sleep, and this will be about an hour. Then it's go back to, you don't wake up, to non-REM sleep. That means your body has some changes, your eye movements will be there, a lot of things, but you are still not awake. See that? You didn't awake. This is the time, if your phone rang or somebody call your name, you will wake up right here when you come back to this stage every time. But usually, if you are sleeping in a silent room, you don't hear any noise. If there is no sensory stimulation, you will again fall asleep back to the next cycle. So this cycle actually about 90-minute cycle. Okay, typically we are talking about. Okay, so if you calculate that total cycles, okay, that's what the division. So first, like a 2-3 hours, you're going to sleep up to here. So another question people talk about, like, what if you are going to do a couple of naps, like maybe one afternoon naps and then go to bed, right? So similarly, like students who are studying, that's what, they don't have time. So what do? They continuously study, and about afternoon or something, they will sleep an hour or two. Again, they're going to study and again sleep for 3 hours at night and go back to college or school or write an exam. That is not a good thing. It is not healthy for your brain. It will not clear your glymphatic system. The reason, it will not work well. Why? Because, can you look at right here? First, if a person has 6 hours of sleep, first 3 hours, you don't have much REM sleep. See that? Very short REM sleep. But when you late in the night, about 5 to 6 hours, you get long REM sleep. Reason, REM sleep is very important for memory formation. Okay? So if you are studying, or even if, like, everybody need this REM sleep, right? If a person take to, like, every day, if you are taking sleep medication to go to bed, so you get this part of the sleep more. This throughout this night, you will be repeating this part. Very less REM sleep. So there is no dreams or anything. I'm going to mention those things, okay? Keep in mind this part. So sleeping pill, this will be numerous. And also when a person, let's look at that one. Okay, so here we go. So if I have to divide this into two to make it very simple, okay? If you are not a science person, this will make it clear. See, you are sleeping about 6 to 7 hours. So in the first half, you get a deep sleep. You're like, like snoring and sleeping, right? First half of the night. That's the reason sometimes if you have to drive or going for a long trip, even if you sleep about 3 to 4 hours, you feel like refreshed, and then you can carry on. But your brain is still tired actually because you didn't get enough REM sleep. Okay, so we will talk about the second half. You can see that that's where you get that dreamy sleep, REM sleep. See, so if you have any, like if you are keeping the fan running, or if it is too cold in the morning, any sensory stimulus can wake you up in the middle of the night. Okay, small noises. When you get older and older, this waking up in the middle of the night will be increasing. But I'm telling you, sensory stimulation is related. If you are sleeping with somebody else on your bed, those are the things it's break and wake you up in the middle of the night. If you don't get out from the bed and try to fall asleep, it will be, if you try to, like, don't touch the phone in between, and like if you are waking up in the middle of the night, just don't stimulate your senses. Just keep your eyes closed and go back to bed. You can get this sleep back. Okay, so this is the basic things. Okay, What happens when you get older and older? Is it kids sleep better or teenagers sleep better? Yes, it is. But that doesn't mean like you don't have a healthy brain or anything. That's how our setting, like our brain works, like our cells work together. We don't need that much sleep when you get older and older. So here is it, very simple to understand. See, a little baby, little like teeny tiny baby has like longer sleeps. Like you can see that babies have a lot of deep sleep. Reason I will explain later, because growth hormones secrete during this deep sleep time. So they are growing. So that's the reason about teenager, that level, this sleep cycle going to be shortening, right? So they have like deep sleep a lot and a longer sleep, total sleep. They have very good sleep. Same about teenagers. But once we get older and older, you don't need like a 10-12 hours of sleep. You will be okay with a 6 to 7. Of course, doctors, physicians say that 8 hours is good. But let me talk about 6 hours. Like, we are living in a very busy life, and lights all over at night, right? And music and cell phone, TV, everything. So we don't get that much time. Also our busy lifestyle. So I'm going to talk about 6 hour kind of story. Okay. So if you look at right here in this sheet, you can see that, or you can just listen to this. You don't have to look at these pictures. Okay. So when you get older and older, your sleep cycle become very short. Did you see that? Very, very short. Okay. And waking up in the middle of the night will be really high. You can see that in the children, babies. They don't have much break in the sleep cycle. But when you get older, small sensations can wake you up in the middle of the night. Okay, that is natural once you get older and older. But if you have a good sleep hygiene, you will learn how to do that. Your brain and your body will be learning how to do this sleep in a good way. Okay, so you can gain that ability. I'm going to discuss all those stories. Okay, so anyway, so keep in mind this is natural. Also, if you look at REM sleep, see, when you get older and older, you have very less REM sleep. See that? So this is the reason for children or students who are in college, or are you a working person, you are thinking about like, okay, I'll sleep 2 hours in the lunchtime or like afternoon, and then take a nap and then sleep later about 4 hours. If you have that habit, please, you need to stop that habit, because that is not good for your brain. If you really talk about, your body works really well with a long stretch of sleep, one single stretch. Can you see that? That is the time you get the REM sleep, right? You have to get into that N1, N2, N3 stage, then only it will get into the shift into a REM sleep most of the time. Okay, so therefore it is very important to keep to have long hours of sleep. That is very important. Based on all my next 1 or 2 hours of talk, one big thing is I have to advocate, or I have to tell you, is advise you, or whatever. From all my knowledge, I am telling you, you must sleep longer hours, not 2 or 3 episodes of sleep, like afternoon or evening, or no, just go sleep one long stretch. That is very significant. That is the best way for your brain. Okay. People talk about like, oh, if you drink milk, you can sleep well. Okay, that's very simple to understand. So sometimes when you are old, like babies, they sleep well when they drink milk. Why do they say that? I'm going to talk about later. There are neurotransmitters in your brain, right? Serotonin, you heard about the hormone melatonin, all those, right? Okay, so if you look at it, it's very simple to understand. Milk has a lot of tryptophan, right? You can see that tyrosine, that's another amino acid. So that is important to make your epinephrine, norepinephrine, all those, like alertness to daytime, to work well. But if a person is very angry and short-tempered, their norepinephrine secretion is in a different way. I'll talk about that if we get time. But anyway, that is tyrosine. But tryptophan is another amino acid. So this is the precursor of melatonin. I am going to talk about what is melatonin and how it make you sleep. If a person take melatonin tablet, sometimes it can interfere with the other hormones or sexual hormones, sex hormones, all those things. Why? This is another hormone, melatonin, right? Our brain actually has a system to produce less melatonin when we get older and older. When you look at this in the babies, you have a lot of melatonin secretion that will help you to keep sleep along because they are growing. But they do not produce sex hormones, right? Sexual organs are not mature or anything. So there is it's a negative feedback mechanism. Don't worry about all those. Just understand, if you artificially giving your body melatonin, keep in mind when you get older and older, melatonin level is produced by the brain is reducing. But if you're artificially giving melatonin, like if people talk about, oh, it's very good to take melatonin every day, there is a lot of studies with a different factor. I'm talking about a straightforward scientific fact. Okay, if you are taking too much, it can interfere your brain system. Okay, so that's a reason people talk about some of the food, right? We cannot measure that, right? For how much content you are taking. The food you take in a different quantity and all quantities, and also it will digest in a different level. So you have no idea how much you are absorbing and how much is affecting in your body. That's a reason sometimes drug companies make drugs, so that they will measure and to the FDA give you approval, whether they have a lot of calculation. This is what each tablets will have, so that when you take certain, this hormones or any drugs, that's going to be very much measured. That's why you are paying a lot of money for these drugs instead of going to black market and buy certain things, or you go and eat the natural things. That's the difference. Like a previous section, I was talking about pomegranate, and I didn't explain that difference. I was explaining that eating pomegranate is very healthy and natural is very good. But what is the difference between, one of the difference between eating the pomegranate powder in a pill is different than the natural fruit. They're different ones. One difference is you cannot just weigh or measure every day how much you are taking if you are taking natural fruit, right? But if you are taking a tablet which is FDA approved or something, then you can trust that, okay, this much amount is getting into the body. Does that make sense? Similarly, the sleeping pill and melatonin, all these drugs are regulated. So you will know how much it is in each tablet. So anyway, keep in mind, taking each medication has an effect on your body. Always keep in mind, people talk about take some bunch of vitamins and tablets and just for healthy. No, use your brain. You're adding things to your body. If you are taking it every day, it can affect your different system. That's all I have to say. Okay, anyway, drinking milk. Of course, some of them are lactose intolerant and all, but drinking half a glass of warm milk will help you to sleep. It may not be, sometimes you add pepper. It's like a black pepper, right? I add black pepper in everything. Or it is called turmeric, a pinch of very little turmeric, and if you mix with that, or cinnamon. I don't like cinnamon taste and too much, but I don't take it with milk. But people talk about if you cannot tolerate. I don't know whether ginger will go with the milk. I'm not sure about it, but try with anything and drink warm milk and sleep. It will be okay. Okay, so it will boost your melatonin to make you fall asleep. Okay, so we will talk about all those. But if I forget about the milk story, this is the story. Tryptophan is the one making you to fall asleep. Okay, and you have tons of neurotransmitters. This is an important thing, story I would like to explain to you. Okay, so here is what happens. Look at right here. when you're very awake, you're like, your brain is working so hard, you have like really like all these impulses, all these neurotransmitters are firing, these neurons are, it's like electric sparks, right? All the neurons are secreting tons of chemicals, right? They're like communicating each other, you do your stuff, and brain will help your body to coordinate, right? All the functions, everything is doing. Of course, even if you are dry, brain never taken off, right? There is no off day. Even if Saturday, Sunday, nighttime, brain will work. So all the time, beta wave means it will be like firing a lot of one of the neurotransmitter is really, really high, called norepinephrine. Okay, that means when you are awake, there is a lot of norepinephrine. Of course, you have tons of other neurotransmitters like acetylcholine, histamine, serotonin, dopamine, orexin, all those. But don't worry about it. Just I'm talking about when you are really concentrating, focusing, right? Like you are listening to me. So that time your beta wave is very like work very well. That means your eyes will be open and everything is like very fast. But if suppose you close your eyes and relax, your norepinephrine level will go down, and histamine you heard about, right? Antihistamines, all those. Histamine, of course, we are going to, maybe if we get time, there are some food that has histamines, right? So sometimes if you eat certain food, it can affect your sleep quality, right? You won't be able to fall asleep. Some certain fruits and all. Okay, that is a reason, because those fruits might have higher level of histamine or serotonin, or like serotonin precursors, right? So histamine inducing fruits are there. So similarly, anyway, so that time when you close your eye and relax, your histamine level will be higher, and also the wave is called alpha wave. Anyway, you don't have to worry about if you don't have to care about that waves or anything, but I'm just telling when you fall asleep what is happening, that's all. When you fall asleep, like I said, you're going to be like, you worked so hard, you have all these sleep drives and accumulating all these factors, then your lights outside, it become darker, there is no sunlight, vitamin D is less, like all these factors will adding up, right? Your brain gives signals saying, okay, time to sleep. So what happened is, the alpha wave will again slow down. It is called slow wave sleep. That is the first half of your sleep. Okay, very simple to understand. You will fall into slow wave sleep called NREM. That means non-rapid eye movement sleep. That's called NREM. Very simple. First, like 5%, very quick, you're going to fall asleep. After that, if you have a good night's sleep, you will not come to this stage, right? You sleep all the way, that cycles, and wake up right there, okay? So we will discuss. So then you fall into beta wave. Sorry, this is N1. That was alpha, beta, alpha, theta, like a mixture. Then you go to the second stage, N2. There is, you have theta waves. I know, like, I'm going to be done with this scientific explanation, but in case if anybody interested, it may be, because it is easy for me to explain about like night terrors, nightmares, all those stories, okay? Also, when I talk about alcohol or caffeine, you will understand that, okay? That's the reason, let me explain this. Okay, so then you get theta waves. So this is the longest sleep stage actually. So theta wave containing N2 NREM sleep is very long, in about 45% of your total NREM is non-REM is N2 stage. Then you get deep sleep. It is very good to have long, very big, like a long N3 stage. So when you get into deep sleep, all your body, like most of your systems are cooling, like slowing down, right? Very slow. That is actually is going to be like very slow waves. That's called delta waves. You know, EEG recording, it's called polysomnography. You don't want to worry about all those things, but keep in mind delta waves will. But you know, like as people can go to coma because if the brain is not working well, right? Coma, or what if this line go to straight line? That will be death, right? You've seen that in the movies and all, like they show that EEG. But anyway, keep in mind, you don't go to death or coma. You will come back to normal because delta wave will transition again back and forth. But when you go to REM sleep, see, you are going to sleep, you're going to go to deep sleep, then it's actually shifting into REM sleep. REM sleep is actually a lot. I was talking about learning and dreaming, all those things are happening there. Okay, so that time you have again beta wave. It's like so like a PGO activity, like a sawtooth wave you can see. Anyway, just keep in mind, this is what the real sleep cycles there. Okay, so let's talk about this part before I think now I can tell you the stories after this, then it will be fine. Okay, so let me explain this graph with this neurotransmitters. What do you have to understand is, in the brain you have, like, you know, all these organs are there, right? Like all brain has different area. So all these little teeny organs will be coordinating and secreting a lot of chemicals, right? So that's what I'm going to talk about. Okay, I want you to remember two things, okay, during my talk. When you are awake, you have a lot of neurotransmitters, like for example glutamine, it will be activated a lot. Just opposite, when you are sleeping, GABA is a lot, right? See, this is sleep section. This is when you are awake. When you are awake, you have glutamate and glutamatergic neurons will be active, but you have a lot of other neurotransmitters or chemical secreting neurons will be active. Those are acetylcholine, norepinephrine, histamine, serotonin, dopamine and orexin or hypocretin. Okay, I am going to tell you a story related to this so that it will make sense to you. Okay, when you are falling asleep, did you see that during awake this GABA is negligible? That's why you are not at all sleepy. You got good night's sleep. GABA will be done secreting. Of course, you have a lot of GABA in your brain to do other activities, not to make you sleep. Okay, keep in mind. So when you are falling asleep, did you see that first non-REM stage, that 75% of the, right? Those has, did you see a lot of GABA? But if you look at all the other neurotransmitters, there is like like they are falling. When you were awake, you were tired, you used up all these chemicals and it's falling down. So that means dopamine, serotonin, histamine, norepinephrine, all are going down. Okay, this is the place you have to remember. I was explaining earlier. If you eat certain food, right, histamine, did you see that? If you keep the histamine high in the body, that's not good. Another thing, let me explain that one. Dopamine and serotonin, when you are very happy, you don't fall asleep. Have you noticed that? Like if you are very excited and very happy, it will be so hard for you to go to bed, right? Because you have too much dopamine and serotonin running around. It is not cleared from the brain. So that's why you are awake. Okay, so you understood that point. For non-REM, you're supposed to have lesser, like it has to, these neurochemicals supposed to fall down, then only you can fall asleep. Okay, another point, when somebody is stressed out or like something, you know, somebody like if you have a breakup or if somebody passed away or if you have like some financial anything or sickness or if you came to know some sad news, that can also affect your body, right? Same thing about the like dopamine, serotonin level will be low. And look at this norepinephrine, right? You're supposed to have this alertness hormone supposed to be very minimum while you are falling asleep. But if you are like really angry and stressful, you have still too much norepinephrine in your brain. That can interfere other system. So that is the reason your brain is actually ruminating things and you cannot fall asleep. Does that make sense? Okay, but look at acetylcholine. We're going to talk about acetylcholine in this more because GABA is making you to fall asleep. During that time, the non-REM stage, you have negligible level of acetylcholine, and also orexin, negligible or go to zero. But your REM sleep starts with the secretion of acetylcholine. That is an important point to remember. This is why your brain is actually really working hard during your REM sleep. So you may be like going to sleep. If you give long sleep, your brain is actually falling into that REM sleep state. That is very important for your emotional stability. And keep in mind, look at right here. You have all these other neurotransmitters are negligible, right? You are actually cleaning the brain. Okay, so this time all those like serotonin, histamine, dopamine, all these will go negligible, but the acetylcholine going to work so hard. And look at that orexin I was talking about. Orexin, that is, hope you heard about that. If not, I'm telling you, it's also called hypocretin. Like when physicians or scientists studied about obesity, that's the time they figure it out. Orexin, that is a hormone. Okay, hope it is recording. Okay, so what I was saying is, so the orexin will be high during the morning daytime. This is the this is a neurotransmitter, not hormone. Orexin neurotransmitter is the one keep you really like alert. You need norepinephrine, but this is the one keep you like wake up. That signal is from orexin. Orexin has the control. Okay, that's the reason if a person doesn't have orexin, they will fall into like a narcolepsy. You heard about narcolepsy, cataplexy. That is because this hormone is negligible in their cerebral or central nervous system or the cerebrospinal fluid. Just don't worry about it. This orexin is important for you to keep you awake. If you have like a hypersomnia all the daytime, if you're too sleepy, this is one thing. Maybe you have very negligible level of orexin. Okay, if you don't sleep at night, you will be too sleepy. That's a different story. We will talk about that. Okay, then the GABA is going to increase. By that time, did you see that? Orexin is actually going down, negligible. When you fall asleep, you don't need orexin. Orexin will take a break. They give signal to all the centers to stop producing this chemical. It's time to sleep. So they are going to reduce, negligible, clear everything. And then the brain will undergo that sleep cycles and a REM cycle. Acetylcholine and GABA. Of course, there are two other neurotransmitters there. Don't worry about it. You have GABA and acetylcholine take over. Okay. GABA is significant for throughout the sleep cycle, but REM cycle. So this is actually a simple thing. If anybody have like really feel bored, this is the science I am talking about. The rest I will talk about the stories, but you don't need any more. This is it. Okay. So now I am going to go through what happened if you take caffeine, all those stories. Okay. Okay. So let's start. Okay, the first question was, why do you sleep, right? So let's answer that. You already understood why do you sleep. To clear your brain's all the accumulated chemicals and all the components have to be removed and refreshed, right? So that's why you're supposed to sleep really well and wake up. Okay, so let me see that glymphatic systems picture one more time. So I was talking about it is not lymphatic system, but it is called glymphatic system. So in the brain, you have that fluid. It's coming from your normal blood, right? You have your blood coming through the capillaries, and it's going to diffuse through the brain cells, and actually it's going to sweep away all the chemicals. You have in between your neurons. Okay, let me show you that. You understand. Okay, so in between your neurons, you have specific cells, glial cells. That means if a person get, like if you talk about like a brain tumor or something, actually it is not the tumor in the brain's neuron. No. Neuron cannot multiply, right? Literally, neuron, in between neurons, you have small little cells called astrocytes and all these glial cells. You heard about astrostar, right? Like astrocytes, like thousands of cells. These are for assistants, right? Supporting cells. These are the cells. It's like a bodyguard of neurons. Your neuron is the super important person there in the brain, but your astrocytes and all the other glial cells can become cancerous. They can multiply. So the tumor means those cells are going to grow. Does that make sense? So keep in mind. So you have a lot of neurons, right? So these neurons are going to have like a lot of, chemicals all around in the brain. But this astrocyte, through the astrocytes, your fluids from the blood, it's going to diffuse through this brain. When you fall asleep, that's what I was talking about. What do you have to, like you just shut down your brain, like all the normal function and going to sleep. By that time, this fluid from the blood, it is like just like a lymph in your body, going to pass through your capillary. Capillary will be a little bit like a relaxing there. It's going to leak a lot of fluid through the astrocytes, that star cells. It's going to sweep away all the bad stuff, so that after you having a very good night's sleep, you get refreshed. That means your brain is really, really clean, right? This is the reason if you don't sleep, you feel like you don't function well, because your brain has like too much things going on. It's like it's dirty. You didn't sweep or clean or anything. Every night it is a normal physiological process. It's like you eat food or breathe or drink water. Similarly, sleep is a normal physiological factor. It is very important for a human body. Keep in mind, it is very significant, okay? So anyway, this is going to clean, that's the glymphatic system, to clean the brain activities, like to all this extra, like a charge, like a sodium, potassium, all those neurotransmitters, all this cleaning happening and patchwork, okay? We don't want to go through that detail. And learning process, right? Whatever you learn, it's going to be arranged like in a library book. Every night, it's going to, this is the reason, if you are a student, it is very important for you to sleep. If you just study one time and go to bed and wake up and go to exam, you won't be smart enough. Reason? It needed protein synthesis. You need to produce new neurofilaments to store. It's like a information storing in a library book, right? You have to print and put it in like a shelf. Similarly, this protein synthesis needed time. So that is the reason. One time if you study and sleep, these neurons, all these small neurons all these neurons have special dendrites and dendrite formation and neurofilaments and fibrils. These formations will help you to remember, memory formation. So you sleep at night, it's going to form. Waking up, you still remember some stuff you learned last night, but you go ahead and study again second time and go ahead and sleep the next night. Again, memory formation will happen. After about 3 sleep cycle, you get a lot of like real memory formation. In a week, if you study 3 days and go to bed, you get real good memory formation. Does that make sense? So what if you don't study, you just studied one time and walk away? It's like watching a movie, right? If you watch a movie at night, like especially when I was in school and college days, I remember if I watch one movie, I'll be walking around thinking about that movie stories and stars and all those things, right? We will be very excited. After about the second day, third day, the memory will be disappearing, right? Like you don't feel you don't think that much about that movie anymore. Reason, your brain, similarly, when you are studying, similar effect, right? Brain will try to get rid of, because you have so much information there. So the brain will think that, oh, she doesn't need that. Let's get rid of that, okay? This is why reinforcement is important for learning process. If you study multiple times, like every day or in a month, if you are repeating or revising whatever you are learning, it will form memory formation. Okay, so keep in mind. Anyway, so it is very important for students and even adults. Everybody have to have that good night's sleep and for healthy function. So that's why your brain will function really well if you get good sleep. If you don't have good sleep, you have all these accumulations and it can cause multiplication of these astrocytes or brain tumor, like whatever, like the neurotransmitters level will be increasing and decreasing because the neurons are not functioning in the brain well. It can cause like depression, all those problems, right? ADHD, all those. We will discuss all those in, okay, let's talk about it. So hope you understood why do you sleep? Because you need to clear your brain to make it like a fresh, it's a clean slate. Every day you have to clean it and do all the patchwork maximum so that the next day you will work like your body can function again, because brain is the control center has to be like a fresh every morning, right? Does that make sense? Okay. And then where do you sleep? That is another important point. So before that, how do you sleep? Let me talk about that so that I can start my nail polish thing. Okay, so here you go. So how do you sleep? Okay, you can sleep whichever way you want, but it is best to sleep in a supine position. I'll tell you the reason. There are 3 types of, like, people usually sleep on their back, on their belly, or on their sides. But most of us, like people, mostly sleep on their sides, right? I think in school days or college days, I heard about something like a king sleep on his back, a rich man sleep on his belly, and a wise man sleep on his side. I have no idea where I heard. I bet you might know that, but if you know, comment there. I don't remember where it is. Anyway, why it is better to have a supine position like this, sleep on your back with a straight leg and arm. Reason, most of your joints will be in the neutral position if you sleep on your back straight, right? Do not sleep on the couch, or don't sit and sleep. Okay, I know sometimes we end up in like people who has to work at night, and of course they will get time to sleep, right? They had specific daytime they will dedicate to sleep. So you better go ahead and sleep on a bed. Okay, another thing, like when I talk about this supine position, because about 35% of your life you are sleeping, if you are calculating all together, about 65% you are working and doing things, you will be awake, and 35% will be you are falling asleep or sleeping. In that time, that is a significant part of your life you are going to sleep, right? So it is better to buy a good bed. Okay, so I know we never think about it, right? So actually it is good to have a very good comfortable bed. Okay, so if you have a very bad, like a 10-20-year-old bed, it is time to change and save some money, or like next 6 months or 1 year, if you are eating junk food or like buying cola, or I don't know, whichever things you are doing, you can avoid those things and invest in a good bed. Okay, so mattress is important. Now, like old days, people slept on the floor, right? They never care, and they had that much facilities, but now we have all this luxury. I didn't ask you to like go and buy the, what is it, Tempur-Pedic or whatever. You don't have to spend like a $5,000 or $10,000 to buy a bed, but I don't know, maybe $200 to $500. If you can invest, that will be a good investment for your next 10 years of sleep. Okay, it will be good to have a good bed and sleep. Okay, those are very important. So maybe we will talk about all those details in future, But keep in mind, sleeping on your back is really, really good because your all these joints will be neutral. But even though I think I sleep on side, that's what I believe, right or left, it depend on people and at times. Sometimes we prefer to sleep in a different way, right? Okay, so we discussed that, how to sleep, where to sleep. Okay, so by that time I am going to talk about this thing, and I'm going to paint my nails. Okay, hope you don't mind. Okay, if you feel very uncomfortable, I want you to just listen to this. Okay, so it will be easy for me to I don't waste that time by recording this. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so where do you sleep? You must sleep in a dark room, or make sure not to sleep in the lighted room, because you must have like that. You must shut down all the lights and all and sleep. The reason is your brain, I was talking about, let me see, where is that melatonin paper. Your brain has, right here. Your brain's pineal gland is going to secrete the, let me show you this one. This is, don't worry about it, because like a neuroscience and like a physicians, they need all these details, but you don't need this details. But just if you are wondering, okay, I would like to show you that when it is daytime, in your brain you have a teeny tiny part, in the hypothalamus you have a teeny tiny part called suprachiasmatic nucleus, or SCN. Don't worry about that part, but I'm telling you, this is going to stimulate your retina. And because when the light fall on your retina, when the sunlight is there, light fall on your retina, it is going to stimulate this part and this suprachiasmatic nucleus of your brain, and it's going to give signal to the pineal gland, so that the pineal gland is going to shut down the melatonin secretion. Then you will be awake, right? Like you are going to be awake and the normal activity. It's like a circadian rhythm, right? So it's going to happen that time. So the pineal gland actually will be active when the day, that the sunlight is going to go down. But of course, we live in a society where everything is taken over with a bright light, right? Once it is evening, we just turn on the light, right? I think it is better to have, like, I remember one of my physician friends, he actually, like, when I was like, this is I don't know, 5-6 years back story. So in an apartment complex, his apartment was like in the, I don't know, 4 or 5 floor above me. So one time, like we were having, like, I don't know, dinner or something. So all these lights, about like 6 p.m., his apartment's lights will be dim, every light. The reason mentioning it, like, mention, like, of course, we know about science, all those, like, even we learn or study or, talk about those, I'd never do that, because all my house, like, even everywhere, in India, I have my parents, like, there and here, everywhere, my house will have bright light all day, right? So I was talking about my friend's house has, like, really, like, a dim lights for evening, like, so that the melatonin start building up. Your brain you have to give some, like, hours to produce enough melatonin, so that you will be accumulating a lot of melatonin and start sleeping, right? So that's the reason when you are, like, really tired and with a dim light, you can easily fall asleep, right? So what I'm talking about is one of my friends did that, like, always they do that, these kind of things. Some people are very smart. Of course, you are also doing that. Some of the houses have really, like, a really dim light. That means at evening time, you prefer not bright light, but especially during Christmas time, like if it is a bright, like a Diwali, Holi, whatever, like all these, like a bright, like celebration, we have light, right? So you will be awake always, but otherwise you will be like always, like it is better to have day-to-day life dim light at evening time. But unlike if you are a student or you have to study a lot, I will advise you to just keep the light really not too less, so that you will fall asleep. Don't do that. But why I'm saying is, this light has influence over your brain. Therefore, it is very important for you to sleep in a dark room, so that you will not have any stimulation. Keep in mind, remember I was showing you this one, right? Like the normal sleep cycle. So I was talking about each sleep cycle. During the sleep cycle, the REM sleep, you going to go to like near that. You don't be awake, but you will again fall to deep sleep, right? So these times, if you have sensory stimulation, you will wake up. Therefore, it is very important for you to make sure all the sense organs, like, you, especially the eyes and ears. So where do you sleep? Where do you sleep? So one point to remember is, you're supposed to sleep in a dark room and with the silence. These are the next silence 2 points I wanted to advocate or advise you. If you are listening this, and if you wanted to learn about 5 things from this podcast or this conversation, I want you to remember this thing also. Because first one I was talking about is, I want you to sleep longer time, like at least 5 to 6 hours. Okay, if you are lucky, and if you can sleep 7 or 8 hours, it depends. Okay, like we can stay, like there is nothing like a catching up sleep. If you don't sleep for 2-3 days, and if you are thinking, oh, I'm gonna sleep one day, whatever I lost in the last few days, no, you cannot do that. I don't think so. It won't help you, because your brain is still getting a lot of damage, because you are already accumulated a lot of chemicals there, and amyloid, all those, like you heard about Alzheimer's disease and all, right? The dementia, all those. So amyloid, those are proteins, tau proteins, all these, like these are produced in your brain. But once it start producing, instead of accumulating, you're supposed to clear it off. So that means even from the childhood onwards, you have a very good habit to sleep on time and having big long sleep. Your brain will try to clear it very well. Of course, there are some diseases associated with that. Is a different condition. If you have the luxury to sleep, I want you to sleep really well. That will be very healthy. Okay, so keep in mind the first one is long sleep. Second point I wanted to give you is, I want you to sleep in a dark room. That is very important. Okay, another thing, you have to do that silence. Like you need to sleep in a silence. Like I know some people, like I did that during my college days. Once in a while, like I play music and fall asleep, right? That is not a good if you enjoy, I love music, so if you enjoy music, you can do that. But the thing is, you supposed to keep your ears and all these neurons like a rest while you sleep. So it is very good for your brain if you sleep in silence. Okay, you keep something on your ear and close the ear, or make sure your room is sound or noise cancellation or something, I don't know, like a soundproof or something, if you have that kind of luxury. But that is very important. Keep in mind, silence is very important. So let me give you another example. Like what if you going to sleep in a lighted room? Sometimes we do, right? Like watch a movie and fall asleep in front of the TV, right? The problem is you are sleeping, but when you wake up, you feel very tired. You notice that, right? Especially one of the reason is you didn't use that supine, like a stretched position. So most of your joints are not in a neutral position. So you feel tired. Okay, body will be tired. but your brain will be tired too. Reason, your brain was trying to fall asleep, but all the sense organs like your eyes are because your TV is running or the room has light, your eyes are bringing, because your retina is getting light. Like even if you close your eyes, if you have bright light in front of you, you can sense that, right? That means your retina is very sensitive. It can get that signal. So brain is giving that signal. Brain tried to, your thalamus, you don't have to know all those details, but your thalamus tried to shut down, right? So the thalamus tried to shut down your brain, like all the sensory information, and make the brain to shut down everything to make you fall asleep. But if you are keeping your bright light on in your room, or you are keeping the music player like the TV is on, your eyes are constantly bothering your brain. That means the signal is passing through the optic chiasma and all kind of things. Don't worry about all those things, but keep in mind that is the reason when you wake up, you don't feel that refreshed. Of course, people talk about like, play very, different types of music, right? No, just if you're really scientifically thinking, don't do that. Of course, you can, it is a relaxing, all kind of thing. If you are really tired, brain don't even, like, your sense organ will be completely shut down and you will fall asleep like really like a baby, right? But like massages will help you. Does that make sense? So those are different factors. But keep in mind, for daily sleep, do not depend on music. If you are keeping the music, cut down to like a 30 minutes or something, so that it automatically shut down, so that once your sleep cycle start and going into about N2 NREM stage, before going into N3 stage, you should, or before completing the first sleep cycle, you should shut down the music so that you will continuously fall asleep like without any problem. So therefore, my point is, I think I convinced you, do not play music while you sleep, or if it is, some people it's different. I'm going to explain that. They can sleep even in the train station, right? There are people like that, right? Like I know that, like in, if we are like very happy, and if the people are in the room, and some kids, right, like in the family or even in the family functions, they can sleep in the corner of the room without any problem, right? The reason, there are different reasons. We will talk about that. Anyway, keep in mind the second point I was talking about, sleep in a dark room and have silence. That is very important. Okay, and this is the story about that, because your suprachiasmatic nucleus has the special neurons to the pineal gland. So at night, because the light is not there, your pineal gland has to secrete melatonin. Melatonin secretion happens only in the night, because you need darkness, right? Like darkness is significant, because tryptophan to serotonin, serotonin to melatonin, that is in presence of darkness. So therefore, darkness will help you to fall asleep. Keep in mind. Another point to remember is your suprachiasmatic nucleus. You don't have to know. If you are a science person, like, or a medical student or something, you may need it. You need it. If you are a physician or a scientist, otherwise you don't need it. So just remember this, suprachiasmatic nucleus has specific receptors called melatonin receptor. This is what happening at daytime. These melatonin receptors, when they are actually like normally during the daytime, it will not bind and activate the SCN. So therefore, you have a signal passing into your remember this part, VLPO of the brain. This is in the hypothalamus, one part, VLPO. In the hypothalamus, another part is this suprachiasmatic nucleus, right? So this part is going to give signal to the VLPO. So if I show you that picture right here, VLPO is right here. Anyway, this will shut down the VLPO's functions. That means during daytime, your VLPO don't produce any GABA. So in the daytime, you don't secrete any sleep-inducing chemicals much. Of course, GABA is there throughout your brain. Otherwise, you get seizure, right? People get epilepsy and seizure because GABA is not like enough or activating. So that's why, like, if you give like a anti-seizure medication, right? Medications like a valproate, like anything, like a carbamazepine and phenytoin, all these medications, like if you are levetiracetam, all those things, when you take, the GABA will be like activating, right? GABA is there, enough GABA is there, so that you don't get seizure. It's like a storm, right? Thunderstorm and a big storm. So in the brain, if you don't have enough GABA function, everything's like go like electric shocks, kind of like, it's like when all the neurons will fire like it's like electricity, right? Like too much. So to calm your brain down, you take those medications, right? Okay, that is important, because if somebody has seizure, it is very important for you to take the the medications to activate that GABA function, and also so that you will fall asleep and your brain will be calm all the time during the daytime also, especially if a person has like a epilepsy or seizure. It is very important for you to sleep a lot. Okay, so it is very important, you're supposed to sleep a lot, because this is, you need, GABA is very significant for your brain. So that's the reason some people, if they don't sleep at night, they can get seizures, right? Because especially if a person has epilepsy, the reason is GABA is very significant. Anyway, what I'm talking about is during daytime, this the circadian rhythm, circadian center, suprachiasmatic nucleus, they will not give any signal to the GABA. It's actually giving the signal to shut down, stop producing GABA. That's a signal giving to VLPO. But as soon as at night, when you secrete a lot of melatonin going to bind on the MT1, MT2 receptors. Don't worry about that, but keep in mind, those receptors will going to suppress, so that, activate, so that SCN going to stop that signal to the VLPO, so that VLPO going to secrete. So in presence of melatonin, the signals will give to the VLPO, okay, start secreting a lot of GABA. So this GABA will distribute everywhere into the brain and you will fall asleep. Does that make sense? If anybody is doubtful, I don't know, maybe I'll create another video to note explaining like this with a PowerPoint or something, so that you will understand. You let me know. Give a comment and tell me what you want me to explain better. Okay, so hope you understood significance of why do you supposed to sleep in the darkness, and why silence is important. Darkness is very important because melatonin is significant. I was mentioning another point about, like, if you keep taking, especially like even children, if you keep giving melatonin containing tablets to make them sleep, it can affect your hormone system. The reason is, children, they don't have sex hormones, but melatonin level is high. In your body evolution, our melatonin level will go down when the sexual hormones start secreting. So keep in mind, if you calculate together, you can see the connection, right? You don't have to know all the details, but understand role of melatonin. Okay, and that we talked about why do you sleep, where to sleep. Okay, that is very important. You need to have a very good dark room with a good bed. Sleep in not a couch or not on outside, but keep in a silent area. So it is very important for, if you have pets, dog, cat, keep them outside. I know you love them, but okay, we love them, but keep them outside. It is very important, because if you are thinking like, oh, my pet is going to crawling around on my body all the night or day or something, the problem is it's going to ruin or compromise your sleep. Your sleep will not be healthy if you are sleeping with a pet. Okay, of course you sleep with a human will sleep a little bit far away. When you sleep, don't try to sleep far away and not to touch each other and sleep. Those will also help you to have very good sleep, because that is very important. Okay, you love the other person I can understand, but that doesn't matter. Sleep is very important for your well-being. If you don't have enough healthy sleep, you go crazy because you are going to accumulate all the chemical in the brain. Therefore, it is very important for you to have a good night's sleep. So you better remember these points. Pets, lover or husband or kids or something, keep them little bit far away and train them to sleep like without any disturbance and sleep individually, not as a group. Okay, so we didn't evolve to sleep like a group, but it is an individual need and your body needs sleep. Okay, so when do you sleep? Okay, so when do you sleep? That is actually, okay, you can say that night, right? We're supposed to sleep at night. It's good if you can sleep at night every night. That's very important. But what if you are traveling? You can have like a jet lag. And also, what about like if you have a shift work or something, right? Like, everybody is not lucky enough to sleep at night, right? Like in specific time. Of course, if you are lucky enough to sleep like that, it's good. You should do that. Okay. But otherwise, I want you to make sure to sleep. Try to get longer sleep, and you can sleep anytime, because if you can keep the blinds, or if you can darken the room during the daytime, that's fine. But the best time to sleep is at night, like I showed you earlier, because melatonin start producing after about 9-10. But I know even if I tell you this, I will sleep normally after midnight. That's a habit of me. During the school days, I became like that, like, read and study at night and go to bed very late. That's a bad habit of me, but it works for me. I don't like to wake up. Like, I'm not a morning person. I can stay until 1 or 2 a.m. But it's better for me to sleep like in the early morning. I would love to sleep because that's how I sleep. But some people like to go to bed at like early, right? How early? Like a 9 a.m., 9 p.m. or 10 p.m., right? That's good. If you can do that, that's very good. You should do that. And you can wake up, like if you get like a 6 hours or something, you can wake up and start. It doesn't matter. Like, I remember when I was in school and college, my dad is like, some people used to tell my dad, like, okay, you should make your kid to wake up at the morning and study, right? No, that is not don't. I remember my dad once in a while make me to wake up at the 5 in the morning and study. I hated it. I don't study. I just sit there and sleep, or I feel very cold that time, and I just hated it. I wanted to sleep at 5, 6. Of course, when you start studying and go to college, if you have to go to college like a little early, so you don't get to sleep like that long, right? You have to wake up at 6 or something. But I'm telling you, I prefer to sleep at until late in the morning if possible. That will be a good day for me if I can sleep up to 7 a.m. But that doesn't matter. If you sleep early enough, you can wake up at morning and study. I don't mind at all. And that's human nature. We are different, right? We made it like, if I practiced waking up early, I would have been a morning person, right? So there are morning person, and also there are like night lark, right? Like similarly. So it depends on like what do you trained, right? Like this noise may be bothering you guys. Okay, sorry about that. I'll just stop. Anyway, so the sleeping, when to sleep is significant because of these above factors. I was talking about the factors, right? About the melatonin secretion and the what is it, the light, those are the factors. So in the room, like I was talking about one of my friend's story, so I learned from, of course we learn from different sources, but still I won't be able to follow much, but someday I have to do that, right? So if you can, you just have to start dimming your lights and start, sleeping at night time. And if you have that luxury, my table is actually like, I don't want acetone in the nail polish falling into my table. So therefore I have some papers here. I don't want the whole table, because acetone is not that good for certain materials. Okay. So anyway, I was talking about the sleeping time, right? So you make sure, if it is possible, sleep at night. Okay, sleep at night and sleep before midnight. That is very best, because the best time to sleep is 11 to I think 6 a.m. or something, because I know, like, of course it's like in a Hindu mythology, and not even mythology, it's actually like a Hindu and a Buddhist, all these monks and some of the Christian priests, they talk about like the importance of sleeping and meditating the moment of sunlight, like a daybreak, right? So that is actually very, very significant actually, because this is all connected with our melatonin, right? People talk about, oh, you're supposed to follow that. No, our society changed. Keep in mind, old days, like if I'm talking about, what is it, Edison invented that bulb, electric bulb, right? Before that we had lights, but what is it, like how many hours you need to have that much money to burn the lamps too late? Does that make sense? So that means all our nights were like too dark. There were, like, if you are talking about 500 years back, right? Imagine that, right? You never had like bright lights in the houses. Like, of course, palaces and rich people had, but still they have minimum, right? So that means sunlight is the major factor of light. So that is the reason about 6 sun is going down, and the next 2 hours they have what to do, right? There is no Netflix or TV or anything. So they talk to each other, and after some time, if you have really dim light, you start secreting a lot of melatonin. You end up in, I'm supposed to wash this very fast because acetone can actually, sorry to bother you, but I'm going to tell you, acetone can actually pierce into your skin, okay? So if anybody use acetone, you're supposed to wash it as soon as possible. It is very important to wash if anyone use acetone or acetone containing nail polish removers. So sorry about the noise. Hopefully it is recording. And I'm just washing it, so that acetone will be gone. So your skin can absorb acetone. It's a very dangerous thing. So that is the reason, if you don't wash well, I heard people's nail will be damaged, right? But I started using nail polish in school days, so, but I always will be careful to wash acetone very well just after after using the nail polish. Nail polish remover. So even if it is acetoneless, it should be chemicals, right? So your skin can absorb these chemicals. So you don't want to take acetone into your skin, through the skin into your blood. Also keep in mind, like your nail bed will damage if you give acetone and it just stay there in the body, right? So it's very important. If you use nail polish remover, you must wash. Like, advise and tell your family members. Also, I seen that when you go to spa to do the nail polish, like manicure, they have something to pluck your cuticle. Have you noticed that? Don't do that. Tell them to. I always tell them. I used to go, but now I do myself. I used to do that, but sorry, not me. When you go to manicure place, these people make you to do the pluck all the cuticle, but that is actually a protective zone separating your outside body, outside part, world, and the blood, right? Because, and also it is a protective area of your nail bed. So you always keep in mind, like, use your brain. If you really think that part supposed to be there, okay, you can just clean your nail, but don't pluck all the cuticle area. That is to protect your fingernail. So otherwise, what is the point? I know some people's nail look like a nail bed look ugly or shapeless because after years of scraping it out. If you go to the store, they do that, right? Scraping. That's going to damage your nails. So you should never like pluck everything out. Keep little bit cuticle there. It is to protect your fingers. Anyway, so let's talk about what is it? I was talking about the okay, sleeping time, right? Like, so if you can get like a longer sleep time, please do that. That is very good to have like a longer sleep time. And how long you sleep, we already discussed about that. And oh, sorry about that, I got distracted. Okay, so I was talking about the time when to sleep. Okay, if you have a jet lag, right? Like, of course, we all have, like, when we travel long distance flight, like 24 hour in the flight, it is it's a big thing, right? Not every day, right? If you are an air hostess or somebody, that's a big thing. You have to work. Also nurse, doctors, and other shift workers, right? They have to work. There is no excuse. But they always work in most of the time in the bright light, so body is used to do that, right? They also, those people, actually the the jet lag is the best one for that prescription with that melatonin containing they're similar to melatonin, that one of the drugs, right? I was talking about the ramelteon, I believe. So that drug actually work very well for shift workers. That is the best option. So the reason is like a N1 stage will be N1 and NREM sleep is actually stimulated by this melatonin receptors, that ramelteon tablet, right? So that's the reason melatonin tablets are very good for the initiation of sleep. Not really maintaining the sleep. That is the reason it doesn't have much side effect or anything, even if you are taking long term, because compared to other sleep medication, that is more safe. That's what I believe. And also about the orexin inhibitor, that is also like a suvorexin. Now, those are like really good one, but suvorexin may be very expensive, right? Like nowadays, but keep in mind, Z drugs also have some adverse effect, because some of the Z drugs can cause to stimulate the initiation of sleep, but not all of them. Does that make sense? Like but some of them will help you to maintain sleep, so that's also important. One more time, I have to wash this. So keep in mind, certain medications will help you to fall asleep very fast. That that is initiation of sleep, and also maintaining the sleep, right? It will help you to maintain the sleep, like longer time you can sleep, right? So those will be very important if you really think about it. This is like, I don't know how much. And okay, so that part is done. The next one is about the how long you sleep. Yeah, how long you sleep. So I was talking about you can start sleeping from 9 to, I don't know, it depends. I cannot advise you to, like, every individual's like a sleeping time, how long is variable. We cannot just tell you that, like, okay, sleep this much time or anything. Like, you cannot predict like that, you know. So it depends. You need to start using your own brain and figure it out how long is good for you. That is very important to understand. Okay, then so what happened when you drink caffeine, right? So let's look at that story. And I have to take this one. What happened when you drink caffeine? So let's show you that point. I think I have it in the sheet. Okay, so here I go. I put it right here to make it easy. Okay. Look at right here. Okay, when a person drinks coffee, see that? Normally in the brain you produce a lot of adenosine. That means you build up a lot of adenosine and you fall asleep, right? That's what we were discussing earlier. But could I find that page? Otherwise I could have shown that thing. Okay, but when you drink coffee, what happened is, look at right here. Caffeine and adenosine has more or less similar structure. Okay, therefore, see that instead of adenosine is supposed to bind on this receptor, right? A1, A2 receptors. Don't worry about it. In the brain, that VLPO area supposed to have like all these receptors. This, instead of adenosine when it binds, you're going to stimulate and produce the GABA. Okay, it will make you sleepy. Very good. GABA is secreting, you are sleeping, right? But if you drink coffee, it's going to block that receptor. See, because it is more or less same shape, it's going to take over. Caffeine molecules will take over the space for adenosine. So it binds on the adenosine. It will not stimulate. Instead, it's going to inhibit. It completely blocks. So once it blocks, what will happen? You will not secrete GABA. You cannot fall asleep. You have insomnia. Okay, it's very simple to understand. Okay, this is it. This is the like a major mechanism. Of course, multiple mechanisms are there. Caffeine major mechanism. That is the reason people talk about don't drink caffeinated drinks during like a, late after hour, because it needed like about, I don't know, 6 to 8 hours to completely remove into the urine to filter it out. So if you drink anything caffeinated, of course, if you have to drive, it's good to take all those, right? Caffeine pill is available because you have to be awake. I don't want you to fall asleep. That time it is very important. But other than that, it is not that very, very important for you to avoid certain drinks. Some people can drink and fall asleep, but not every day. Keep in mind, you won't be able to sleep like that every day. So you have to be very careful. So that is the reason always people talk about after 3 p.m. If you are sleeping after midnight, it's okay up to 5 p.m. you can drink. But if you are going to bed at 8 or 7 or I don't know, 9 or 10, if you are drinking coffee after 3 p.m., it will be hard for you. If you are really young, of course, our blood circulation will be very faster than the 60, like out of 75, 80, 90-year-old. If you compare, your filtration will be faster. So you can, okay, it will go to urinate everything, and your brain is free with the caffeine molecules, so you will be fine. Otherwise, try to avoid caffeine every day, like, daytime, morning you drink, that's a different story. It will stimulate, right? But it will not will block the GABA secretion, so people can get insomnia. Okay. What about if a person drink alcohol? Oh my God, this is the one thing I have to talk about. Like, I know our generation people, I don't drink, so I can tell you very simply, but I love my liver and my body, so that's why I don't even want to taste it. But people who drinks, or if you are really addicted to wine, I know I've seen or heard about people every day they have to take wine to go to bed, right? Like sleep, they're going to drink alcohol to go to bed. I'm going to talk about all those in details in this series. But keep in mind, this also will be affecting your brain in a different way. Not this mechanism directly, but drinking alcohol or wine can affect your brain's like overall like neurotransmitters. I'm going to show you in another picture. That way you will be like, your sleep will not be good. If you don't drink alcohol and go to bed, that sleep will be very good. Compared to that, if you drink alcohol, it will be very different. Why did I tell you? Remember this picture I was talking about? When you drink alcohol, it's going to mess up all these neurotransmitters. So the NREM sleep will not have that lower level. Some neurotransmitters will be high and low. I'm going to show you in another picture. But REM sleep also will be affecting. So therefore, you don't get a good sleep if you use that alcohol or wine. So it is not good for you. Okay. Another thing, it is like a drug thing. If I want it, I know I don't want to tell you all those details, but if you are drinking alcohol or wine every night, this is good for you to know. Okay. Understand, in your brain, in your neurons, you have special receptors, right? To make you fall asleep. How do you fall asleep? When the GABA will go and bind and your neurons, like chloride channel open, a lot of chloride will go, then it will everything calm down. Your neurons will go to sleep, right? But if a person drink alcohol, it's going to do the same thing. It's like artificially you are inducing the GABA. That is bad for your body. Let me explain that in this. See, you can see that it opened and going, right? Same thing if a person take benzodiazepine drug, that's the same mechanism. Similarly, okay, nothing to worry about. This is it. Like normally GABA has to make you fall asleep, right? Because when the GABA binds, your chloride channels activate, you fall asleep. But if a person drinks alcohol, did you see that? This is going to initial, like it is going to like keep the GABA channel, the chloride channel open. It will also facilitate the GABA function. That is a bad thing. Therefore, do not take alcohol. It's like taking drugs, right? To fall asleep. This is why you fall asleep if you take the diazepam, lorazepam, all those drugs, right? Clonazepam, all those. So instead of drugs or alcohol, if you can just exercise and keep a healthy body, and then naturally if you produce the GABA to fall asleep, that is very good. Okay, so alcohol is not good. And okay, so here you don't need to know all those things, but it will affect a lot of systems, all kind of things. Anyway, so the alcohol, if we have time, we can come back. But let's talk about the overall benefit of your sleep, okay, before we get into the detailed part, because I have to talk about alcohol. See, I have a bitty paper I wrote here to explain alcohol, because I know a lot of people drink alcohol, so I would like you to have a better understanding so that you try to avoid alcohol. Okay, so what else? So the next point I would like to mention is about your importance of how, like a wide, like an overall system, how is it is affecting, right? When you fall asleep, what will happen? That is important to know, so that you will know certain things. Like, for example, people talk about like a heart attack happen in the early morning. You heard about all those. Like, I'm going to explain all those in the next maybe in next 30 minutes. So if a person when a person fall asleep, you will have the so your system will slows down. For example, your heart blood pressure will goes down, heart rate. Once you fall asleep, that means you are a non-REM sleep, right? Your non-NREM sleep, the heart rate falls down, and cardiac output like a plasma volume, all those will goes down when you start sleeping, falling asleep, right? But keep in mind, when in the like especially in the middle of the night and like in the later stage of the time, because of the sympathetic parasympathetic activity, you have increased heart rate. I'm going to talk about that later, but keep in mind there is changes in the respiration and the heartbeat and all. That is normal. Don't think that okay, you have some disease or something. No, it is normal to have normal less heart rate and breathing rate. That is a normal process, because you can tolerate more carbon dioxide during that sleep time, because you are not using much oxygen that time. Of course, your brain uses oxygen a lot, but you don't really like need like all the other, because your skeletal muscle and all those taking break, right? I'm going to mention that most of your body organs are taking a break, so you don't need that much oxygen. So therefore the respiratory rate will go down, carbon dioxide sensitivity, respiratory breathing force will be reducing, okay, slows down. That is a natural thing. And your body cell, especially the muscles, right? Muscles are going to get a it's like a break, right? Like, sorry, muscles, you need to do a what do you call, patchwork. If you have your muscle have any damage, of course every day we get damage and everything, right? So that will be taken care of, like all the patchwork and all the repair, everything is happening during the sleep time, okay? So therefore it is very important for you to sleep very well, because the muscle, especially if you are exercising, that's a point I have to mention. If you are exercising, it is better to sleep really, really, really well, okay? So if you really sleep well, you can have a lot of like a lot of patchwork of your muscles. So if you especially the skeletal muscles, right, muscle repair happening. So therefore it is very important for you to sleep really, really well, okay? Another point I would like to mention about the sleeping and the exercise. Sometimes you may have noticed that, or you may have heard about people talk about, if you exercise too much, you won't be able to sleep well, right? Too much exercise. So that is another thing, like you are keeping secretly, like endorphin, all those, right? Like it's a lot of other factors also. Your body has different adaptation. So when you exercise a lot, it can affect your normal brain function. So therefore, exercise can your sleep quality. So if you exercise, sometimes if it is elderly people, and also when you are sick, if you are obese or something, it is good to have exercise every evening, because you will be tired, your body will be so tired, you will be tempted to, I wanted to put this light, sorry about that. You will be you will be so tired, so you end up in sleeping a lot, okay? So that point, you have to remember that point. So, okay, that light is enough. If you exercise a lot, keep in mind you need long time of sleep, okay? Sorry, I was just doing all this to keep this bright light, okay? Then the next one is about urine formation. That means, when do you drink water when you, if you are going to bed, right? Like, people talk about drinking water always. No, that is not a good thing to do, okay? So you supposed to have, I have no idea where my, I moved recently, so I don't know where my things are, you know what I'm saying? I think it has oil, just touch something, okay. Sorry about that. I was talking about the drinking water. Make sure you drink water during daytime a lot, not like just before sleeping. I know I also do that, right? But the reason is, when you go to bed, like actually your urine formation, right? Urine formation is going to go down. Of course, your body blood is going to keep filtering, right? But your, I have to put so many things on. When you go to bed, urine formation will be decreasing. So that is the reason. I cannot find my other pointed tip one, so I have to use this one. Okay, that is the reason. It is better to drink water a lot early and try to give body a relaxing time, okay? Not just before, I don't know, you drink and eat before 7 p.m. and it's better to avoid drinking too much water just before bed. I know people like wake up in the middle of the night to drink water, right? I don't think that is a, yeah, if you are thirsty. I'll tell you why you are thirsty. Although, of course, if you have a diabetic condition or something like that, it can be one of the reasons. But otherwise, if you are normal, healthy, young adult or older adult or whichever adult or children, just practice not to go to drink too much water in the middle of the night or waking up and drinking. Those are not good practices. The reason is, during sleep, phosphate content of the brain, urine will go high, and also this specific gravity will also go high, because the urine, water is used by the body cells, right? Like if you drink water or food, if you eat late food, I'm going to explain that next. Next point is about the food, right? So it's going to be digested, right? Especially digestive system supposed to be relaxing while you fall asleep, because you don't have to have food in the digestive system while you fall asleep. it's better not to have that in the stomach, because stomach digestion, the brain has to do a lot of other things, patchwork in the body, all those are very important. So don't tempt give brain that much work to, for digestion. So it's better to eat. That's the reason, another point, like about eat food like early, right? Like if you can possibly eat around 4 or 5 p.m. if you go to bed at 9 or 10, that is okay. Like I sleep like, I don't know, maybe around 11 or something, 11, 10, 12 or after midnight. Still I prefer to eat before 6. If it is possible, 5:30. I'll be hungry around 4 o'clock or something, because I don't eat breakfast. That's the reason, okay? So if I don't eat anything, if I am busy and if I couldn't get time to eat on eat at lunchtime, I'll be eating at 4 p.m. or 5. Like if I ate lunch, I'll be eating around 6 or something, 6 or 7 if I go to gym or something, like, of course. But sometimes I'm lazy, so I may not go. So anyway, eating late lunch or dinner can can give pressure to your body. Like the digestive system, it's supposed to take a break, guys. When you are falling asleep and if you are going to bed, you're supposed to give the body a rest. So therefore, keep in mind, always try to eat like at least 5-6 hours before you go to bed. So digestion need at least 4 hours, right? It start like in 30 minutes, it start absorbing water and all. But your stomach will have food based on your age. If you are very young, within 4 hours, it start like, 4 to 6 hours. But your small intestine and large intestine will have a lot of this, digested material is passing through. Therefore, it is better to get rid of them. I'll tell you the reason. In your esophagus means what? Like see this, like this, right? Like this, stomach. So in your esophageal area, you have a sphincter. I don't know whether you can see, whether I draw. Okay. So this has a sphincter, right? So this sphincter, normally it will be tight. That means when you are walking around and running around, eating a lot of food, everything, right? Everything is in the stomach and your sphincter is closed, so you don't regurgitate food or anything. Of course, if a person has problem like acid reflux, this is not tight enough, right? But while you sleep, this sphincter is supposed to be relaxed. And it will be relaxed. That is the reason, if you are still digesting food, you make sure all the food is gone into the intestine. There is nothing in the stomach. So that way it will not regurgitate. Same thing about like when you okay, so that's a major point. Remember, if the problem is this sphincter, I messed up. The sphincter is supposed to be relaxed, therefore you have to you try to eat early. But if you are eating late, the stomach will have food and the esophageal sphincter means a muscle which separating your stomach and your esophageal region. So that sphincter is tried to be closed because you still have food. So give your body organs and parts of the organs like enough rest so that it will function very well throughout your life. It is a lifetime. You are not going to get another one in the middle of the, 25, 50 or 75 years of age. It's unlike teeth, it will fall and grow in early age, right? There is nothing. It is not replaceable. So it is better to just train early and try to practice yourself and eat early. That is the reason, try not to eat and drink. Don't drink alcohol maybe after 5 p.m. or something. No, not even all day. Try to avoid alcohol if it is possible. People talk about relaxing by drinking alcohol. Okay, I will talk about that in future. But nervous system reflex action will be lower. Sensation, all those will be lower while you are sleeping. That is the reason. Even if you have a fly or a ant crawling on you, unless it is not biting you, you don't know, right? You will not know that whatever happening, because the sensation is very low. Okay, the next point is about secretion. Some people drool while they sleep. You heard about that, right? So what is it is like, okay, one point is your secretions for the digestion, you're supposed to have saliva, right? But when you are sleeping, your saliva secretion will be very low. Okay, body secretion, like stomach secretion, everything supposed to be shutting down, right? But if you are already having like a late dinner, like if you just ate and went to bed, that is the time you end up in secreting, like you have like saliva drooling over your, like on your sheet and a pillow. Reason, you are eating food at 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. That is the reason. So keep in mind, train the kids also, or you also train like that. If you can eat early, avoid eating after 6 or 7, or never eat after 8. In that case, of course, sometimes, I feel to eat 9 p.m. ice cream, or like, I don't know, chips I don't buy, but anything, I do that. But try not to do that, okay? So if you can try not to do that, that is a good habit. Also, it will avoid the drooling and all kind of things. Then about sweating, right? I wanted to take this one, and I need this one, and I need this one. Okay. So when a person sleeps, the sweating goes high, then gastric secretion will go down. Leptin and ghrelin, let me tell you about that. When you sleep, your adipose tissue actually starts secreting the leptin, right? It's going to go high, but actually it will decrease the hunger. That is the reason once a person falls asleep, you don't feel hungry at all. Of course, if you don't eat all day or doing fasting, you get that sensation. The reason is in your stomach, in the stomach wall, there is a little hormone secretion there. This is called ghrelin. Okay, I cannot write with that. Ghrelin. So that is the one making you to be feeling hungry, right? You're giving signal to the brain, hypothalamus, to say that, oh, I'm hungry. So you end up in eating, right? But as long as you have a healthy body, like every hormones are well balanced, you can, your ghrelin will go down. That is at night, like you already ate and your body's absorbed everything, absorbing in the colon, food is, digested food is there, and you are relaxing, so ghrelin will not secrete, so you don't feel hunger at all, and leptin in the adipose tissue will be secreting a lot. It will also inhibit hunger. Okay, so those are the 2 points to remember. Then these result in the lower basal metabolism and all kind of thing. Okay, so this will keep you a balanced energy. Does that make sense? So keep in mind, so these factors is common in the normal sleep. Okay, let's talk about the type of sleep I have so much information to share, but I am going to shut down into very interesting stages. Okay, so let's talk about stages. Okay, remember I was talking about N1, N2, N3 stages, right? Let's talk about the sleep stages and tell you the sleepwalking, all those stories, then we will be done. Okay, so I have to find that paper. It was all over. I was using a lot of papers to explain things, you know. Okay, so let me tell you, your couldn't find that paper. Let me look at it so that it will be easy for you to remember. So N1, N2, N3, there are 3 stages of sleep, right? In that, like after that, you have REM sleep, right? So N1 stage is the first stage. Let's talk about that, okay? One second. I may have to edit this video. I am still learning to edit, so I don't know whether I will be successful to edit this. If not, I am apologizing. Okay, sorry about that, guys. So sorry. Let me look at that sheet. Okay, I used a lot of papers to explain things to you. Okay, this is it. This is what I was looking at. Okay. Okay. So when you fall asleep in the N1 stage, okay, that's what I'm going to talk about, the first stage. That will be very short, like within 5 minutes. If you're really, really healthy, this N1 will be like a very short time. But if you are very tired also, your N1 will be very short. But once you get older and older, that N1 will be like really, really long, okay? And also if you are very upset or, you know, you cannot sleep really well, that's also affect this N1 stage, like a longer N1, right? Like it take like, just before N1, initiation of sleep, I think I mess up. Initiation of sleep will be longer time. And the N1 then slip very fast to N2 because your body is so tired. So it very quick it will get into N2. But N2 is the longest stage. So what happened is these stages have different characteristic features. Like you heard about people doing sleepwalking and all, right? So let's talk about that. So in the N1 stage, people don't do this you heard about hypnic jerks and the hypnagogic hallucinations. Let me explain those two. That is happening in N1. Okay, suppose you fall asleep in a on a couch watching a TV, right? So in that case, you can like maybe the remote can fall down from your hand. Like suppose if you just falling asleep, right? The right moment, right? That moment, sometimes if you are holding a remote, it can, your muscles are relaxing. That time your remote can fall down from your hand. Like if you are sleeping in the classroom, your pen can fall down, like, right? Does that make sense? Anything you hold on your hand, it can fall down because your muscles are relaxing. That phenomenon is called actually hypnic jerks. Like it's actually like that's a part. Like hypnic jerks means your body can also jerk, right? So like muscle relaxation is the time you like drop the remote or pen. But hypnic jerks, sometimes your body, like you feel like you get a jerk in the body, right? The person who are falling asleep, that is a sign. Okay. Then the second one, you may feel like you are falling sensation. You feel like you are falling from a height or something, right? Or sometimes you feel like somebody called your name. Have you ever noticed that? Like the moment you fall asleep, like you feel like somebody is calling your name, or like phone rang or something, but you all of a sudden you wake up and look at your phone and nobody called you, right? So that is actually called a hypnagogic hallucination. Like hallucination, those are normal things. Everybody can have that. Okay, of course, according to like your health condition and how much food what type of food you eat, all kind of factors are determined. Like those factors also determining all these physiological processes. Then the second stage, people can get bruxism. Bruxism means teeth grinding. Okay, sometimes they can get it. But second N2 stage is the longest one, and it is having certain like a K complex and sleep spindles and everything. So that one actually important. Like for example, like some people have a lot of sleep spindles. So people talk about those people can actually sleep through the noises. Have you ever noticed that some people can actually like sleep like in the train station, right? They sleep really, really well. So that is because like they have like different like a nerve circuit, and also like they may have more sleep spindles and K complexes. So anyway, don't worry about it. That N2 stage is important, and when a person takes sleeping pills like Z drugs and all those, N2 stage will be very long. And about the N3 stage, that is actually called the restful sleep. Okay, so in N3 stage, actually all the muscle repairing, everything happening in this stage. Let me show you this one. See this one? N1 very short one, N2 is the longest one in this section, and N3, if you have very good N3, that is very good. Like as long as if you get like a really, really good N3 sleep, you feel well rested. But if a person fall into N3, it is so hard for you to wake them up. That means like here, if you call a person, when you fall asleep, you will wake up very fast, right? But N2 stage, still you can wake them up. But N3 stage, it will be hard to wake them up. If you wake this person up, they feel very much like disoriented. This is the time, like if you get a calling bell, or like if somebody call you on a phone, you will be very uncomfortable and maybe angry, or I don't know, body don't like it. Body hate when you are this stage, when you are falling into this stage to wake up. Here it is okay, but not at real, this part. N3 stage, body wanted like real brain is really like all this system is calming down and slowing down, and they're repairing all the muscles and all the cells. Every cells have, I told you, every cells have sleep internal clock, right? So the like body really needed that rest, right? All the cells. So the N3 stage is very significant for the muscles and all, right? Of course, like one of the example, like learning about what, like those kind of memory, right? Like what did you eat last night? that kind of memory formation is during this time. Okay, and another point to remember is about the restfulness and declarative memories that time, and glymphatic cleaning. I was talking about glymphatic cleaning. Remember this picture I was talking about in the beginning? Your brain actually, when you fall asleep, okay, if you listen, I don't know, 1 hour or 2 hour or whatever the video length is, this is what it is. Your brain during daytime filled with a lot of communication is happening, right? Filled with a lot of chemicals. So when you fall asleep, your blood vessel, from the blood vessel, all this fluid is coming into this, between these neurons and the glial cells, that astrocytes and all, and sweeping all the chemical and throwing into the veins, from artery to the vein. It is completely removing from the brain. That is a big thing happening in the brain, right? So when is it happening? That is in the N3 stage. That is the reason first 3 hours or 4 hours, if you get really good sleep, you feel really refreshed. Reason is most of the, not all, most of the glymphatic clearance is happening in this N3 stage. Okay, keep in mind. But your real memory formation and all in the later REM sleep. Okay, so keep in mind about that. So that is N3 stage. So patients with a depression, I have another slide, maybe after it dries, I'm going to show you that, how we're going to talk about depression and like if a person is sad, those kind of things. But keep in mind, patients with a depression, they will have very less N3 stage. Once, like we discussed earlier, right? When a person get really old, their N3 stage will be very less. Okay, very less level. Even though I didn't mention that earlier, like if you have like a lot of if you like some people don't have to sleep that long at all, right? I heard about that, like some people can sleep like 2 to 3 hours every day, and like I think very rare, maybe 1 in 10 million or something, like I don't know how many number, I don't know, you may have to look at it, but keep in mind there are some people like they can survive with very less sleep. Okay, that is very exception, right? But normally N3 stage is very important, and if you are very much depressed or sad or upset, all this, the N3 stage will be very short. People with the depression will have very low N3 stage. I'm going to explain those with the pictures in a few minutes, okay, once it dries. And you, like I said, if you have tried to wake a person up in N3 stage, they will feel like groggy and like whining, and they will be very upset, and and they feel like impaired mental stage and all, very hard to wake them up, and very feel very disoriented if you try to wake them up. Then sleepwalking and this snoring, all those happening in that stage. Okay, I think I have a slide somewhere, I'll show you in a few minutes. But keep in mind, sleepwalking, snoring, of course snoring can start from N2, but sometimes people have then the stage also, but N3 is the major one. Okay, in the non-REM sleep is the major snoring happening in that stage. Then bedwetting. Remember the reason I was talking about? When a person fall asleep, see like this, when you fall asleep, all the muscles and heart rate, like systems, like a secretion, everything is going down. When you fall really deep asleep, it's going to go down, right? The muscle is completely relaxed. That is the reason, like even sometimes bedwetting means in the urinary bladder, you have, let me draw for you. In the urinary bladder, you have the urethral sphincter you have. It will be closed, right? Sometimes, of course, when you get like older, babies like pee like that. Whenever the urinary bladder is filled, they pee, right? But when you get like older also, sometimes this urinary bladder, you cannot close it. Like a really, really sick condition, some of the medications can cause. When it is filled, because it is voluntarily controlled, so you feel to pee, so you run into the restroom and pee, right? But in children, they do bedwetting because the urethral sphincter will be relaxed a little bit, like, because it is completely, all the muscles are like relaxing. So these muscles supposed to be contracted, but in some people, it will not work. So that is the reason children, bedwetting is common in that stage. But later, like once, like a learning process actually help them to, the growth process help them to gain the capacity to hold the urine, and they will wake up. Your brain will wake up and they will ask you to go to restroom, they will run to the restroom, okay? But normally, that is in children, bedwetting is in this stage, N3 stage. The reason all these muscles have, like, it is kind of, brains literally try to give time to repair and all kind. It's like when you are, and it is night when the roads, they repair and everything is happening. Similarly, easy to remember, The next one is about people get night terror. Okay, I would like to talk about that. Because what is the difference between night terror and nightmares? Okay, you heard about that, right? Children get night terrors. Okay, so this is the two things. REM sleep, your brain is active. In the non-REM sleep, your brain tried to be less active. And that time, your thalamus actually shut down every communication to the cerebrum. So whatever happening, whoever, like kids get this night terror a lot, they will not remember. Does that make sense? So even if they like scream at night and get out from bed, scream, but they don't remember anything. But they will go back to bed. Reason, see the reason, even if you try, like night walking, this is the time, N3, because they are so falling asleep. They are asleep. Their brain shut down. So brain means your cerebrum is not working really actively. So therefore, they don't remember anything. Okay. And also if you try to wake them up, they don't wake up. Reason, this is in the late stage, N3. Similarly, when a person get a night terrors, if you wake them up and ask you something, they cannot answer. Because it is, it is too late for them to, just use this. I'm sorry about that. I just distracted. If you try to wake them up, they don't remember anything. Does that make sense? They will not remember anything, whatever they are doing, So keep in mind, night terrors happening in children, but nightmares, we get it, right? People ask about okay, you dreamed, is it a dream black and white or color, right? Have you heard about that? So if you dream, all your dreams are colored dream. Have you ever thought about it? Or have you known that? I'm sure people never talk about that, right? Because you don't know. Anyway, sorry, all these noises. So anyway, keep in mind, your dreams are actually colorful. The dream happening. Okay, I'm almost done, so it will be easy for me to explain. So let me throw this somewhere there. And the colorful dreams happening here in the REM sleep. That's your brain will be very active. Non-REM sleep dreams, that's called that's not dream. It is called night terrors. But nightmares are in the REM sleep. Okay, so that is the next part. Then we will be done. But maybe I'll talk about depression and sleep. That's maybe some more couple of important points, then we will be done. So in REM sleep, in the REM sleep means this part, right? I was talking about like when a student study, this is important, right? REM sleep is happening later in the sleep cycle. So if you are sleeping like a long sleep, you get a lot of REM sleep, right? This is the time in the early morning, if you feel like if you sleep and you wake up at that time, right? Like before coming back, at the end of the REM sleep, you wake up, right? Sometimes you dream something and you remember the dream, remember that? And or sometimes you sleep and you may feel like you wake up all of a sudden, you feel very cold, right? You need a comforter, right? Like sometimes people sweat that time. A lot of other factors happening. The reason, you don't have to know all those details, but happening nighttime, growth hormone secrete a lot, like I tell, especially in the first half. So children, they need a long sleep, really long. Like in United States, kids go to bed at 8 p.m., 7:30 p.m. Before 8:30. I seen a lot of my friends talk about that. A lot of people talk about that. Reason? Because doctors say that, scientists say that they need more sleep. Wake up at 5 or 6 or 7 or whatever time, but they need more sleep. But in India, like my nephew and niece and all, like I noticed that they wait until like 11, 12, and whenever my brother or like sister, everybody sleeps, that is actually really not a good thing. That is not a good habit. Like you make them to sleep long. Reason, your sleep needed, sleep is necessary for growth hormone synthesis, and the cell's growth is dependent on the sleep, right? Growth hormone and all. Then another thing are cortisol, right? Like people, especially cholesterol synthesis, everything happening at night time, right? So all these are connected. So you may, if anybody taking statin drugs for cholesterol, some of the drugs you're supposed to take at night time if it is a shorter half-life. So the reason is it's going to block the synthesis of cholesterol in the night time, right? So a lot of other factors, you don't have to worry about all those. But remember, if you eat very late at the night, just before the bed, all these things will be messing up. So if you have obesity, like all these conditions, like a diseased condition, everything is linked with this sleep cycle. So therefore, it is very important to have a good sleep cycle. Okay? Then, I have 2 more things to talk about the alcohol and the depression, then we will be done. And keep in mind, the later stage in the REM sleep, you have this beta wave. Just after the slow wave sleep, your acetylcholine synthesis will be high. Remember that? I was talking about acetylcholine earlier, right? It's supposed to go somewhere. Okay. Let me see. This way. So acetylcholine will be high in the REM sleep, right? So that is what happening right here. In the REM sleep, beta wave activation will be there. That means your brain is really active. So this is the time your dreams, colorful dreams, everything happening in this time, and you will remember all those. Okay? And this time your brain uses a lot of oxygen, and your muscles will, like you feel like a sleep paralysis. This is the time your brain literally shutting down all the muscles attached to your bones. That means you cannot voluntarily move your muscles, but your involuntary muscles, for example, like breathing muscles, the ribs, muscles connect to the ribs, that will work, okay? But all the other muscles connecting to your bones will be shutting down that time, REM sleep. That is the reason, especially in the early mornings, if you once in a while, if you wake up from a dream, You can feel paralyzed. That is okay. Why I explain that is some people can get REM sleep atonia, atonia disorder. That means that is normal to have that paralysis, but if you don't have paralysis, that is sleep paralysis, like in the short time in the REM sleep, that is called, it's not the real paralysis, but it is called a REM sleep atonia. If you don't have that atonia, you will hit the people next to you. If you sleep with somebody, or like you jump out of bed, or you move your legs, because whatever your brain is doing, like you will act. It is called acting out of dreams. So acting out of dreams is REM sleep without atonia. Those are all like not normal. If they have like a problem in their brain parts, so those are the reasons, different reasons. Don't worry about it. So the REM sleep atonia, if somebody hit you next to sleeping during the sleep, so that is because REM sleep has like those problems, right? Nightmares, if a person scream and wake up and remember what happened, if they tell you this, what happened, what is the dream, that is happening in REM, rapid eye movement state. Then people can get heart attack early in the morning. If you look at this figure, like in the second half of the night, people can get heart attack. The reason is increased parasympathetic activity. You don't have to worry about all those terms, but keep in mind, so heart rate will go up, because I was talking about brain activity, like cholinergic activity, all this go peak, like really high, right? It's like you feel like you are awake, right? That's how it is. But you are sleeping, but your brain is working. If you look at the all these EEG and all, you can see that. Anyway, keep in mind this time the brain actually working, using a lot of oxygen, and a shallow stage of sleep, you can easily wake the person up. And a fluctuation of heart rate can happen, because I was talking about like remember in the first half, your heart rate, everything is going down, right? In the moment it come into REM sleep, the heart rate will go irregular, like all this breathing go irregular, everything is speaking up, right? All the so these are this time. If a person already, if their heart already having a lot of trouble with their muscle is not functional, they can get a heart attack very easily, because the blood pressure, like all these signal pacemaker system, everything working like irregularly because of the parasympathetic activity. Keep in mind, just to understand, if you need more later sometime, but keep in mind, early time of like a heart attack in the early morning of the night will be, keep in mind, the person will have a diseased heart. That's why they can get it in that early time. That is common. Okay, like then erection of the penis and all. That doesn't mean you need to have sex at the early morning. No, that doesn't mean. It is a natural process. Parasympathetic activity is there. That is the reason it can be like that. So it doesn't mean you need to have or anything. Okay, just keep in mind that's a natural phenomenon. Normal phenomenon. Every organ is just working normal, and increasing blood supply and flush everything out. Those are the things happening. So you don't have to worry about a thing about all those things. Those are normal. Then I think I talked about all these all those story about all the REM sleeping. You understood about sleep, I believe. I don't know anybody watch all these. I don't think I'm going to edit or anything, but let's finish with a little more, then we'll be done. Okay. So, okay, if you eat something like with too much histamine, like too much dopamine, like you increase, like people who take drug, all kind of thing, why do they affect their brain? I am going to talk about. When you drink alcohol, it can increase dopamine system. Smoking can increase dopamine. Like all this, right? Okay, did you look at right here in this NREM stage, all this supposed to be low, but REM stage it will be negligible. That means if a person take alcohol during the and go to bed, they don't sleep normally because you're sleepy. Everything you are messing up. Okay, so the typical example will be explain with this one. Okay, I think I have one picture right there. Okay, so when you look at right here, I'm going to talk about depression first. So if you look at right here, you can see see, it is nothing to it is not rocket science. Just understand, in the normal brain you have a lot of one type of serotonin receptor, 5-HT2. Okay, that is normally present throughout your cortex, right? Can you look at comparison? Hope you can see that. See, if you compare this picture, see the level of the 5-HT2. This is just one receptor I'm talking about, right? One example, in a person with a depression, see how low it is compared to the normal person. So this is how things are, like everything, like all this receptor expression, everything will be low. That means, remember earlier we were talking about when you have to get into NREM stage, you need to have a lower serotonin, dopamine, all those, right? But you still, I didn't tell you it is zero. It is necessary to keep all the organs functions. You need to have that level of, communicate with brain activity has to be, there is a lot of significance. So those serotonin level is not zero. But that is the reason when a person already have very low serotonin, they cannot fall asleep because, see, this is important for them to fall asleep, but you will not have. So another point I wanted to tell you, there are three major, like you may learn about or hear about that in different places. Norepinephrine, serotonin and dopamine, all these control your mood, right? Feel good things. But I wanted to mention one thing, very interesting thing, right? Nothing to worry about, one thing to remember. See, when a person is depressed, their norepinephrine is low, dopamine is low, and 5-HT is low. Did you see? 5-HT means, serotonin. Serotonin make you very happy, right? So it is very low. See that red? So depression, very low. But when a person is stressed out, see, norepinephrine will be so high. Okay, when you are very excited, all the three are high. You don't have to memorize anything, but just understand all these receptors, like a neurotransmitter in the brain, will be really, really high. That's why you cannot fall asleep, right? Because these neurotransmitters are supposed to go to low and then negligible so that you can do the regular sleep, but it cannot. When you are very excited, you cannot sleep. But when you are depressed, you cannot sleep because everything is low, too low, because you need minimum level. When you stress out, you have too much norepinephrine. Look at that. Norepinephrine is supposed to be like a zero in REM sleep, right? If you are too much stressed out, at the work or anywhere, like if you fight with somebody, you will be very upset and you cannot sleep because norepinephrine is shooting up there, okay? If a person is angry, same thing. See, too much, like they don't have empathy. They behave like weird, right? They don't look at who is near you. The reason is the low serotonin and high norepinephrine. Fear, like different things. But anyway, what I wanted to say is persons with a depression will have this less sleep quality than normal condition. Once you take SSRI or SNRI or like medications, and it will, after a couple of weeks or months, it will go normal. But try to go to bed and just try to stay in bed instead of watching TV or anything. What if you are not going to sleep and drive? What will happen? Same thing. See, your brain will be filled with, overloaded with some junk things. You're supposed to clean. No, you couldn't. You were driving or you're doing all these things. Instead of sleeping, you are driving. That is so dangerous because the brain tried to fall asleep, but you're keeping awake, so it should never do that, because you need the brain to function. Okay, and what else? So I think I have one last thing to say, then we will be done. Okay, so what one thing I have to tell you is, so this is our sleep thing. I am going to give you a contest. Okay, what I have to do is, I want you to do is, what do you think these neurons or astrocyte or whatever in the brain, right? These cells, what do you think they are talking? I want you to give a comment. If you can just, sorry about that, put a comment there. Let me take these papers out so that you can see them. So if you can put a comment saying, what do you think? It has to be very short, but don't make it too big. Funniest and thought-provoking comments. I can pick one and give you something, it's like you can win something. I didn't decide. Okay, I'll decide later in future. Takes couple of months, but at least take a year, right? Maybe next like a vacation time or something. Anyway, let's see. So I want you to put the comment if you listen this. I know there was a lot of distractions in between. I was planning to give this in middle of the section, but I forgot. I have to tell you about the jet lag and alcohol and the cigarette. Okay, so we have a little more time. So, but keep in mind, I want you to answer this one. What do you think these are talking? So give the comment and let me know. Okay, so let's talk about the alcohol and at the end. Okay, so I have to find the neurotransmitters again. Okay, when a person drink alcohol, what happened is your quality of sleep will go down. That means you don't sleep normally. Okay, everything will be messed up. So this don't look like the same architecture. Reason, it increase the GABA. Okay, GABA is good for sleep, right? Okay, you will say, okay, you need to sleep, but in the NREM it has to be very high and REM not that high, because REM highest neurotransmitter activation is acetylcholine. But if you drink alcohol, it's kind of give you sedation, right? That is not good for your sleep. The quality of NREM, REM, like the length and the percentage will be very different. So that is not good either, right? You're supposed to have a different combination, like a percentage specifically, so to keep your brain healthy, right? It is not going to happen. The reason is this is high, but let's wait. I'm going to talk about another thing. I didn't include another neurotransmitter called glutamine. This will be too low. Okay, that will make you more sedated. But the dopamine in the nucleus accumbens, don't worry about it. In the brain, dopamine will be high. Okay, so that is the problem. See, dopamine has to go down, right? And go to 0 during sleep. But if you are taking alcohol, your dopamine will go really, really high. That is not good. That means your quality of sleep is disturbing there. And the GABA, they are also just disturbing. Another point is your serotonin will be boosted up. Okay, you feel good, right? So the dopamine actually related to the craving, but serotonin will be up. That means here it will be up, and the REM sleep, you don't get much REM sleep because it's going to interfere, right? So when you take alcohol, serotonin will be higher. You may be asking like, okay, then you get more melatonin, so you sleep well. Remember that I was talking about from tryptophan. If you drink milk, it's going to stimulate the secretion of serotonin and conversion into melatonin, right? If you have a lot of serotonin at night. Why is it negligible here? Because it's tend to change back into, because in the darkness, it's going to change into melatonin. But that is not going to happen because it's going to boost up here. but the melatonin secretion go down. That is bad, right? Melatonin is important for the sleep, but that is going to go down. So this temporary boost up of the serotonin in the when you take alcohol or wine, it is not going to help you to sleep well. Your quality of the sleep will be very bad if you are drinking alcohol or wine at night. Maybe, I don't know, maybe cut down into a weekend or any one day in a week or something, do that. But do not drink every night. That is not a good thing. Your brain is actually, can get sickness and, different things, because brain cannot figure it out, like immune system, those things I didn't mention. Like actually, if you sleep really well, your brain will be very healthy and it will maintain your immune system well, cardiovascular system, your cognitive function, like brain functions, you work really well, and the mental health will be stable and strong because you balancing your neurotransmitters very well. So that is a very good thing, right? But if you don't sleep really well, and if you're drinking too much alcohol or alcohol containing food, or if you are eating too much food late in the night, all this will mess up. Reason, your glucose will peak up during the night time. Like a lot of those factors will affect your brain health. That is really, really bad for you. And other two things about the brain is, when you drink alcohol or wine at night or evening, this is going to mess up your acetylcholine. Remember, cholinergic system, acetylcholine has to be like a low. See, this is the thing. If you are messing up the system, your body work really weirdly. So this is the reason associated with all these, mental health issues. Like people are very depressed and they will addicted to alcohol and they don't get enough sleep. Your brain is not functioning normally because you are messing up that with alcohol. Why? In the non-REM sleep, I told you, you don't need much acetylcholine activity in the brain. But if you are drinking wine or alcohol, some part of the brain, you don't have to worry about those details, okay? Those part can increase. That can affect your normal NREM sleep. Remember, that is the time your that deep and 3 stages, the where you have that cleaning of the brain, right? With the glymphatic system, all that clearance, so cleaning and making it all the cells to rejuvenate. But that is not going to happen. That can mess up because acetylcholine already high, and people can get dreams and all. But the problem is all these are mess up the system. Then last point in the alcohol is orexin. Okay, so this is orexin or hypocretin is I was talking about the narcolepsy, right? That orexin related to that. See, the orexin supposed to be during daytime. It will keep you awake, right? It will ask you to okay, wake up. That's the one, make you to keep you awake. But orexin will be, I have a picture. That's what I want to talk about. See this? Let me have somewhere. This missing. Orexin will be high if you drink alcohol. So that is not a good thing, So orexin has to be low. Look at this picture. I can even give you this one. When you fall asleep at night, brain is asking you to go to bed. So in the brain, hypothalamus, your VLP is secreting that GABA. GABA will shut down every centers to stop secreting the histamine, like norepinephrine, serotonin, and acetylcholine, all this, right? But if your orexin is increased, all this system will be awake. So that is the reason when you drink alcohol, see, orexin is not going to zero or negligible in the cerebrospinal fluid during NREM and REM sleep if a person drinks alcohol. Similar thing if you smokes. Of course, people smoke. I seen people talk about waking up in the middle of the night and smoke. Okay, so these are also same thing. I wrote it right here. You can see all this affected with the sorry, this much part. Okay, so alcohol can mess up all the system. Similarly, the nicotine can do it, but only two differences. Nicotine increase all those nicotinic receptors in the brain. So acetylcholine will be a lot, right? It will mess up your normal sleep, both REM and NREM, and glutamate level is also higher. In the alcohol, the person will be sedated because the glutamate system is down. But if a person is smoking, the glutamate system is high, so they feel more activated. Instead of they're supposed to sleep, they'll be like more energetic and feel energetic and all. Those are very bad thing for your sleep. That is not a good night's sleep. If a person need good night's sleep, that is not good. They're supposed to really be very, very, very wise. You have a very healthy brain to think. If you didn't, I think we supposed to learn all this in school days, right? Nobody taught us. I think if you teach this in the school system, we become like more aware, and we will be, even if we have all this social media and all, like we learn things, we hear and we forget, because in our busy lifestyle, we forget things. We have different, importance in life is very, like it vary throughout your lifetime. But keep in mind, if you are adult and above like a 40 years of age, 50, 60, 70, I don't know, whichever age, like once you've hit 20, 25 or something, this is very important for you. Like, of course, you need to start learning from the childhood, but the sleep is very important. And if you cannot get like a good night healthy sleep, it can affect your brain. It will damage your system. Normal mental health is controlled by this normal healthy sleep throughout your life. And we covered how long you sleep, what is sleep. I think at the end of this, I don't know how many hours, I have to look at it. End of this, you understood what is sleep. Okay, hope you got an idea. If you want me to create another short systematic video for an hour, I can do it in future sometime. But you listen and let me know what do you think, and go comment at the bottom. And I'm sorry about all the distractions, because sometimes I was painting my nails, so I forgot certain things because I was repeating things because I wanted to see what I have to do next. Anyway, next is we discuss about alcohol and wine. Caffeine, you already know that. Cigarette, know that. Snoring, sleeping pills, we didn't explain those describe much, because if you wanted to know, like I showed you once, people take sleeping pill, but keep in mind they will not get REM sleep enough. If you just take sleeping pill, you get only this part, mostly N2 is higher. You will get like really refreshed because your glymphatic system is working. Okay, so these are research are still going on, so I cannot guarantee what everything is happening, but keep in mind, you don't get good quality sleep if you are taking sleeping pill. The typical good quality sleep is you need to exercise and be tired and go to bed and fall asleep. That is the best way. And then there are a couple of medications, like whatever according to the normal, like a mechanism, because at night, the reason it is very clear from this picture. At night, you don't, this is a depression. Okay. At night, you don't need the orexin, right? When you sleep, negligible. Did you see that? So this is the one, this drug doing, suvorexin. That drug is actually depleting all your orexin, so that it is actually shutting down all the other centers. That is a very good thing. So that is the one without any addiction or anything, because that is not touching GABA. Why? It is like a big story, but I showed you earlier, right? GABA, it can affect all the GABA receptors and all, remember, like that. benzodiazepine, all those story. So if you mess with a GABA, it is related to addiction. I couldn't find that paper, it was somewhere. Anyway, remember, keep in mind, if you don't mess with the GABA, so the GABA is very important for sleep, right? It is stimulating daytime. Of course, you have brain GABA, but not activating in the VLPO. VLPO, it is very high, peaking. If you don't mess with a GABA, with a drug, that is very good. So only 2 drugs are now most commonly like a, accepted one. Ramelteon I was talking about, it is melatonin controlling one. So that is the one actually related to the melatonin related one. It's good for jet lag and shift workers. But Civorexant is the one depending on the GABA mechanism. But of course, I think it is expensive and new drug. It is future is there. But for the non-benzodiazepine, Z drugs nowadays commonly used, but it can get, like, especially when a person is older, they can get fall and all, like, it is associated with some of the adverse effect. You may learn that, I don't know, you can read and learn those things. And this is all of jet lag I was mentioning about. I think I covered most of the things, whatever I supposed to explain to you. Hope you understood what is sleep and how do you sleep, all those. Does that make sense? Hope this is very useful for you and hope you learned something. Okay, maybe I should finish with this one. Yep, we start with this and we are finishing with this one. And this is your sleep lecture and we are done now. This is like your, a conversation or a chit chat or a podcast. Okay, so I want you to go sleep. Okay, get long sleep. I want you to sleep really well from now onwards. I don't want you to have a second thought. Just go sleep. Okay, so this is it. If you learn something from this one, use it. That I wish that will help you. Okay, so we learned a lot of things and thank you for listening. If anybody listened up to here, I really appreciate it. I never thought someone can spend that much time, but I didn't expect to go this long, but I have to cover all those things, right? Hope I explain everything and thank you and bye and please comment there and I will see the comments and I will determine the contest winner. Okay, and let you know in future. Thank you. Bye.